we got two Pokemon that are currently being banned off. We are going to be heading on into games, so we're going to see those Pokemon. So Vaporeon and Mega Gyarados are not able to be played today, heading on straight into the ban phase. And Tano, the Mega Pokemon are just not allowed to be played. Is it because we don't like them, or is it because that, well, is it because we don't like them? I don't like them.
I agree. We do not like them. Take them out of the game. We do not like Glaceon. Why are we back in a Glaceon meta? We know why. Bro, I love Glaceon. Like, Pokemon Unite made me like Glaceon, but the Glaceon meta, come on. Is there anything more toxic? Bro.
I agree. Again, Glaceon did need a buff. The same way that evolutions do not need a buff. How many times must I say this? But we're gonna go through. This one. We've got Los Duros on your purple side. Orange side is Blazing Big Juke. We've got No Way, Rops, Danny, Oscar, and Louise. And Danny not going to be able to play, not deciding to pick up that Alolan Raichu because Caden over on the side of Blazing Big Juke had picked that up alongside the Clefable and the Tyranitar. Tyranitar is interesting, my friend. It did get a little bit of a rework, and I'm excited to see it. But Oscar and Louisian are picking up some of those OG deadly Pokemon that they have a tendency to pop off with.
Yeah, I do like this Lost Duros draft. It is so them. That's what I like about it so much. We've completed the download of this game, buddy. We can crack on as we do see Mimikyu getting locked in now by Big Juku's side. So this is an interesting comp that we see from both of these. I'm a little bit unkeen about all the all-rounders they have on the side of Lost Duros, but they do have a Suicune that is the king of crowd control in this game, which is something that you will need if you want to deal with that Kaiju on the other side.
I mean, I'm always happy. You know, my little Lobo face goes from ear to ear with a smile whenever I get to see a Mimikyu. However, the Mimikyu buffs have been very interesting recently. We have been seeing a lot of Mimikyu being played. I'm liking whether people choose Trick Room or they decide to choose the Shadow Sneak moveset. Trick Room is very good because Mimikyu takes less damage from attacks coming outside of the Trick Room. Plus, it gets all those infinite dashes within the Trick Room itself. And you pair that with the Shadow Claw, Tano, and it's such a good Pokemon that is used for defending. It can be used to zone and protect your attackers as well. And that T-Tar, if you want less damage coming onto that T-Tar from outside from that range, pop a Trick Room around it, buddy, and let that Mimikyu absorb all of the damage. I'm a big fan. People were saying that the Mimikyu buffs weren't necessary. I think it puts it in a really, really good space competitively. Suicune, you can take away all its damage and it's still going to be one of the most effective Pokemon on the game. But what I'm really excited to see, Tano, is one of the Pokemon that got the biggest and quickest hot fixes is that big anchor Pokemon, buddy. I love this Pokemon. It's unique. It looks great. I mean, it's just wonderful.
It is. I will say that Dhelmise has not been doing as well in tournaments as you would expect. There's been teams that have struggled to get it going, I think, because of the fact that it can take quite a bit of experience to get those higher levels, buddy. And I think that's the trouble that people have been having with it, especially when it's paired with another all-rounder that needs a lot of experience. I think that's the difficulty of pairing that Dhelmise. We've seen a lot of big teams, especially here in the EU region, struggle with it. Goodnight Gaming, Gatlu's team, they struggled with it a little bit. We've seen No Follow, one of the biggest teams in EU. BH3 struggled having that Pokemon on their side. So you've really got to capitalize on the experience that's on the map as much as you possibly can. And that's the only thing I'm a little bit sure about here with Lost Duros, Lobo, because they have Louising on the Garchomp as well. And that needs a lot of food.
That's interesting as well that you say that, because we still have not run into the effectiveness of the EXP share. We usually think the EXP share is about to be completely obsolete. That does not take place until December 10th, I believe, is when the EXP share, the experience changes for the entire global. So it could work that way, but I believe we have to see, Tana, because we're not getting a lot of time between these Pokemon releases now, because we're getting the Mega Evolution releases and all that. But what we are getting into right now is this first game between Lost Duros and Blazing Big Juke. We got the Grookey and the Mimikyu heading into the central laners with Suicune and Garchomp taking top side, coming across Alolan Raichu and the Crustle Tyranitar, the Kaiju in waiting, taking that bottom side. getting some early stacks quickly because that's another Pokemon that guzzles experience, my friend.
That it does. The most interesting matchup is going to be the top lane so far for these two teams. As we see the Froakie getting that Evo, they're going to be coming down into the bottom lane. You expect Mimikyu to go top. And in the meantime, this Dhelmise trying to take whatever they can from the size of Blazing Big Duke.
I have seen this before, Tan. Nobody's running the experience share on the Dhelmise. I think almost to help improve the speed on this Pokemon is what I have thought that I've seen this before, but it does not have access to that Whirlpool just yet. Not able to get that healing, but Mimikyu is here playing that Shadow Claw moveset like we like to see. I've always maintained it is the better moveset as opposed to player because it just is able to stand in there and throw hands or claws, if you will.
That it will. Pupitar now on the field, probably the weakest stage of T-Tar, though it is definitely better than it used to be. Both of the central area Pokemon are going to go for those Natus. That's what we like to see. Whilst up here, buddy, the power of Suicune versus the Crystal is going to be an interesting one to continue to watch as we do see them trying to go for the Fable, but they do make it back to the pad.
I like this combination of Espeon and Dhelmise at the bottom lane, buddy, because Dhelmise is just able to swing that anchor, put a lot of damage in. Whirlpool doesn't, the changes to it, you are still allowed to move in Whirlpool, but it kind of acts almost like a cute charm-esque move where it just brings you in. You're kind of forced to head towards that anchor as the sirens bring you in towards the ghostly ship. We're heading into 8 minutes. Drago has spawned. Mimikyu is going to take it all for itself, but no, it decided that it's better to come down and help its team. And we are seeing Trick Room come through, but Greninja is here, and we know what Greninja is able to do when it gets online with a quick KO of its counterpart central laner. Dhelmise is going to take down the Kaiju in waiting, and Clefable has to send those heals back to Nurse Joy.
Ooh, a breeze is going to stop the score from Oscar so far. Looks like they are going to fall, and I gotta say, some brilliant bouncing coming in from Danny there, bringing the bait in onto the Mimikyu as Los Duros try and capitalize on having the advantage down here. Mimikyu going in again, Trick Room is down, but here comes the king of crowd control as Los Duros like to put a lot of pressure down in this bottom lane, leaving Oscar to try and clean up the damage here. Louisin stuck in that top lane, looking to grab all that experience right now. The hook comes in, tries to pull the Mimikyu Lobo, but they get stopped by the wall. Clefable is going to fall as Los Duros look to clean up the Regieleki.
They're doing quite well. There's the take of the Regieleki from Danny with the stored power coming through from the Espeon. I believe it was stored power. It is stored power, but not playing Future Sight this time around, trying to go for a bit more damage. This is the kind of thing I've been saying about Mimikyu, Tano. Once you pull Mimikyu out of that Trick Room, it becomes a lot less effective. You don't get access to those dashes, but you also don't get the damage reduction. But playing like this, once you're inside that Trick Room, it's going to be, you know, one-on-one versus a Mimikyu. It's going to be hard, but here we go. Garchomp is almost online. Trying to get that Gabite. The freeze is coming through from Suicune. Supporter Supreme as Alolan Raichu is just trying to get on out as well. Once you tag that Alolan Raichu, it's pretty hard to get away from it without incurring a lot of damage. That objective does go to the side of Los Duros, and now they're going to push this tier 1 as Garchomp has hit the final evolution first. Kaiju number 1 is on the field.
Yeah, Thunderstorm Aerial's going to be used here to defend this pad, but it ain't going to be enough, buddy, as Los Duros are going to cut down Blazing Big Juku and then score the points to take the point lead. But a good effort from Blazing Big just to rescore themselves, and now Godzilla is on Fire Sky Ruins. Tyranitar is ready to go, and this is where things get interesting, Lobo. We've got the all-rounders to the levels that they were originally looking for, but this is the team fight master on the side of Elo.
I agree with you 100%, especially having a Clefable as well as also being able to fight inside the Trick Room and being supported by a Alolan Raichu behind it. Los Duros has to be very, very careful here. Louisin on that Greninja has to find the right targets, and that right target has to be that Alolan Raichu and the Mimikyu in the back as well. The Trick Rooms are just going to be there to ward everyone off because you don't want to enter those zones willy-nilly. 5 minutes on the clock. We're only halfway in. The Kaijus are here. Kaiju number 2, Tyranitar, gets felled quickly by the CC control Suicune, and Alolan Raichu's just trying to put the damage down, but the water burst shuriken hits its mark as Louisin backs off and tries to take down the Crossle instead. Psychic Solaire coming out as well from Danny, as well as the endless ice spikes, and Los Duros looking comfortable, but Tyranitar is back here, Tano.
Yeah, and tyrannical rampage time it is, buddy, as they go berserk with it, looking for the KOs. They managed to find the Garchomp, but now they have to be on a bit of a retreat. The crowd control is here. Rop's looking to see if they can get that freeze through, and if they do, it will work a treat. They take down the Regieleki. They take down Tyranitar. Crustle is gone. Thunderstorm Aerial's going to be used here as they try and get something on the size of Blazing Big Juku, but that Regieleki is getting close to this pad. They're going to allow it to break. A free overcap is all they get. Dalmai's looking to see if they can get a hit on the claw, but they don't find it. Louisin's going to come back on the flank, takes out the KO onto the side of Raichu, but not before they get an almighty triple KO.
I mean, absolute wonderful play by both teams. Leicester is looking very much in control of these team fights. They've got heavy hitters on their side right now, Tana, and it seems like Suicune is making the difference. Crustle wants to try and get a few scores, but Delmice is there in the bottom. It has to go through the big ghostly anchor, but Louisin also doing a brilliant job. That Water Burst Shuriken to just back off Raichu. Raichu cannot get close with a Greninja on the board because it's just so easily targeted. Even all those dashes, Tano, Raichu just cannot get away from the incredible burst damage that Greninja has. It's an OG Pokemon, and you know, when these players are that skilled on a Pokemon like Greninja, it is a terrifying prospect to go up against. But Elo has been stopped by this Suicune multiple times, and that CC is just so hard to control. We're heading into the final stretch right now. Experience is doubled before we head through, but it is just Danny in this bottom lane as we've got a 4-man, 5-man push coming to this bottom lane. It's left on 1 ton.
Leaving it on 1 would actually be great. A nice anchor shot coming out from Delmise there, and they're going to pick up a KO onto the side of the Clefable. They look like they were wanting to break that, Lobo, but leave it. Look at the scores right now, 212 to 200. We know what this Groudon map is like. It's so much harder to get those scores in. Take the advantage of having a T1 pad up on the opposite side for you to take this fight and grab that Groudon objective. Los Duros are going to go for the Regieleki here, giving them a slight advantage. It'll put a little bit of pressure onto Blazing Big Juku, but they know they just got to go for the Groudon here, buddy. They're getting set up and ready to roll.
I feel like this could be a rip right off the gate, but look at where Tyranitar is pressed right now. Still trying to get that experience, still not level 13. 3 level 13s on the side of Los Duros. They could go for the rip themselves, but Mimikyu has been caught out by Louise, and Regieleki does walk into the tier 1 Tana as well. It's just trying to figure out what is going on, gonna happen. All these teams, Blazing Big Juku is on the top side, but Los Duros are going to try and fight off of their bottom side. They're not going to go for it yet, but Rob's almost catching out the Crustle, but that Crustle is one hard Pokemon to catch out. You really want to try and pick off that Tyranitar and the Mimikyu, but it looks like Mimikyu is in there. This fight's about to pop right off.
There's a tyrannical rampage. What an effort, though, from Mimikyu. Goes with the play with V onto the Garchomp, and they take it down. No longer being able to use that Unite move. Delmise is going to go straight in. There's the Psychic Solaire. The Seaweed Snare has been used as well. They take the Clefable, but Los Duros managed to find the advantage as T-Tar falls. Now they pull the Mimikyu into the grasp of no way. Los Duros already has the lead here, Lobo. They don't need to do much more as Blazing Big Juku know they have to reset and take this second team fight.
This is such a smart decision, such patient gameplay coming out from the side of Los Duros. We've seen this from them plenty of times before. They're waiting to see what is capable right now. They still have the Livid Outrage coming out from the Garchomp, which is probably a great Unite move, especially in the middle of all these team fights. But Mimikyu has decided to turn their attention to the Groudon, but nope, back to the Garchomp, just trying to hit it, guys. There's 30 seconds on the clock. You gotta do something. 242 to 200. Kano, where's it gonna go?
They're going for the rip here. Living Outrage is coming out from Garchomp, and it's going to be Blazing Big Juku that take it, and they've annihilated the pressure from Los Duros. It's down to Oscar to find the hit, but they can't, buddy. And with Rops being the last one here, this is the power of having that T1 goal still up. You can go score the easy points, and from the jaws of victory, Los Duros are going to lose this game.
Oh, mate, I don't know. I don't know about that one. We said it, the patience was great for that, but with a Pokemon like Tyranitar in the middle of that pitch, in the middle of that zone, they left it to chance, which they shouldn't have, because they had such a good initial team fight coming out from the side of Los Duros. Oh, mate, that was unfortunate. But again, for Blazing Big Juku to to manage to secure that Groudon, get the scores in as well. I thought that Los Duros were going to try and stall that final fight out a lot more, but big ups to Juke for actually being inside that Groudon pit. And mate, the damage numbers speak for themselves. A lot of 20Ks coming up, especially from the Tyranitar, 48K from the Mimikyu and the Raichu respectively. Not able to do too much damage, but they were pushing Los Duros quite well throughout this entire match. That was only game one. These guys are still getting warmed up. I can't wait to see what's in store for game two.
Yeah, me too, buddy. I don't know whether they want to look at some adjustments. I will say that whilst we look at those stats and you can't see much on the all-rounders, on the side of Los Duros, those all-rounders really enabled Osquitar and Danny to do what they needed to do, mate. Look at those stats. Osquitar was just hunting Blazing Big Juku throughout the entirety of that game, buddy. A brilliant effort from them. And then Danny, with the stored power and the side beam with a couple of steals, just rips through the HP on the other team when it comes to those team fights. That's a great effort from Los Duros, but this is the difficulty of those final few moments, mate. Do you want to be patient? You've got to watch out for Pokemon like Tyranitar and Crustle that will take all that damage and just throw it straight back at you.
I think having a Pokemon as well, just a general healer on the side of Blazing Big Juku in that Clefable, it was such a problem to deal with because you have to watch out for everything. But it kept their Pokemon alive, which in the final minutes of this game is so hard to deal with because you're trying to take down all of these all-rounders, and it's just such a problem that we cannot, it's hard to deal with. But I do want to talk about Dhelmise because that's the first time you and I have seen it together. The EXP share running Dhelmise. Now, just for anybody out there that doesn't know, the HP that you get from a fully stacked EXP share is you get 240 extra EXP share, and your speed stat gets increased by 150. Now, Dhelmise, very slow Pokemon. Incredibly slow Pokemon. So anything to improve the speed stat on your Dhelmise is probably going to be the most important thing. And I think with the new experience, the way that experience is going to work coming through when the changes to global experience and EXP share get changed, that speed stat and HP stat are just going to be thought of as the EXP share is just going to be those buffed stats instead of generally sharing your experience, because now with the way the changes to EXP, these Pokemon are just going to be able to get online so much easier, my friend.
Yeah, I will say that I kind of like the approach from Los Duros because they're using Dhelmise as a support Pokemon. They're using it in the same way that you would use a Suicune. They are trying to use the Anchor Shot to pull and displace people on the other team and get them in the range of their Garchomp, get them in the range of Osquitar being able to hit them with the final Execute. That's what they're trying to do with that Pokemon, mate. They throw the XP share on it. You do want to give them more speed and you want to be able to get them with that Anchor Shot. That's the approach that they're going for. And I will say, I do feel like they managed to get a few picks there. They did manage to disrupt them. Picking up Vainglory in the final few moments there before that fight kicked off was brilliant by no way. So it seems to be the approach that these teams want to take with this Dhelmise rather than just going really aggressive, because it takes a lot to take it down.
No, I agree. And also being able to drag Mimikyu, outside of their trick rooms, being able to drag Clefable away from those gravities as well is really, really important. And then, I think, I don't know, I just don't remember because it went so quickly whether Dhelmise was using Whirlpool in that entire match, because just holding the Whirlpool like a cute charm coming through from Wiggly, one of the most annoying things as all-rounders and attackers is being drawn into a Pokemon that you do not want to target. And Dhelmise is an imposing Pokemon that you don't want to do. So, I mean, I can't wait to see how game 2 goes, buddy, but I don't know, man. It's very interesting to see.
Yeah, well, I think what we'll do is get word from our amazing analyst. We've got Zero in on Alex with the mic with us, bro. How are you doing, mate?
An exhilarating match. I mean, the big key piece for me definitely was surprisingly the Tyranitar. Tyranitar did get a recent buff into this, and the thing about Tyranitar is that Tyranitar has always been almost seen as like a Pokemon that is a Pokemon that always seems like, oh my gosh, how could you pick that? It's such a random pick. But no, it actually does a lot of things really well, especially when it comes to its true damage. Its Tyrannical Rampage can do so much. That being said, though, Los Duros really had a really strong early game. They had a great bot lane. The EXP share on the Delmise was actually quite fascinating. A lot of teams are actually opting for that as a like defender supporter to be able to hook in certain opponents to be able to take them down. And so their early game was fantastic for Los Duros. It's near the end where things started falling apart. The first key piece in that domino effect definitely had to be the Tyranitar. Alolan Raichu was able to get great positioning, get a good amount of KOs, and, you know, everything seemed to be going right for Los Duros until it wasn't. Blazing Big Juke was able to come back, push really hard, and I think the big key piece to analyze in all of this is how the Groudon fight went down. It did, I would agree that it seemed like Los Duros wanted to kind of stall things out a little bit, but Blazing Big Juke came in and they realized, and Lobo, you kind of said it yourself, like, brother, there's only 30 seconds left. And Blazing Big Juku took that as a challenge, and they absolutely shredded it, captured it, and we'll see what goes on into game number 2.
Thank you so much, Alice. We appreciate the analysis, buddy. I think you're absolutely right. It's do they stick with the Tita? I mean, they knew that we were gonna have Chufty here because, you know, Chufty is Tita Smash, basically, Lobo. That's why we've got this buff in, right?
I mean, Chufty kind of probably willed the Tita buff into existence. Ain't nothing more fun than watching him rampage around as that green dinosaur. Is it green? I think it might be green.
I think green.
That's a little bit of inner Lobo thoughts for you guys over there. But let me talk to you, Tano, as we get set up for game number 2. How are we feeling about... I want to talk to you about 2 things. You know where this is going straight away. How are we feeling about the evolution so far? And how are we feeling about Mega Evolution so far? You pick which one you want to talk about as we get into the drafts shortly.
Bro, I don't think that anybody that's watching this, because they see you and me on the Engage channel all the time, they know my opinion on these mega Pokemon, bro. I won't get into that again in the middle of this amazing Ultra Series, but the evolutions. Now, what I do like, I know that obviously you feel that they need to change their levels. I can kind of understand that with you. I think they're just, you know, early game monsters realistically. But what I do love is that Espeon is so underrated. People do not see the power of Espeon, and I like that.
Your ability to hot take today is just completely out of
Everyone's
left
like
field.
Leafeon, Glaceon.
Is underrated. Espeon is underrated. No, absolutely not. I'm putting my foot down, my guy. We are getting more contentious the more you and I cast together, but absolutely not. Absolutely not. That it is underrated. It is one of the most picked Pokemon in competitive for a ranged attacker when you don't use Miraidon and you don't use Inteleon. But
the most picked attacker if you don't use this one or that one or this one or that one.
I mentioned 2 of the most commonly picked attackers, and Espeon was the 3rd, my guy. As well as Sword Power just gives you that extra movement buff to get away. Not only that, Psychic Solaire is a complete team-wide shutdown of everybody, which means it's one of the most useful Unite moves out there. Underrated.
It is. It's great. It's very strong. But buddy, you're picking Miraidon before it. You're picking Inteleon before it. You're picking Alolan Raichu before it. There's people that pick nearly every attacker in the game before it, and it is very, very strong. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's very much the lower side of your attackers that you bring out, but Danny is so good on it. I like the way it works for their entire team here. But we've said goodbye to the Suicune on the side of Los Duros now. Vainglory is bringing it out for Blazing Big Juku. And I tell you what, already being a game up in this one, buddy, that is going to be massive for them.
No, that is definitely a problem. And I think, you know what, Tano is? I think we see a lot of Espeons every time we cast together over here in EU. I think it is a very popular Pokemon that is here. We haven't seen, I don't know if we've seen as many other regions pick it up, but Danny, we are right, has done a fantastic job on this Espeon. Was actually able to KO the big Raging Kaiju in the previous game, but no way has opted for a Mammoth Swine. into Louisan's Blastoise, and that is Oscar there. And also having a look at that item, my friend, that does not look like a water bear. It looks like it's going to be a secure tool for this one. Robs is going to go with Blissey, so whether we see Safeguard, I mean, when you see a Suicune on the other team, Safeguard is the only other option. But the gods of secure are gonna battle it out once again. Blaziken has been getting the upper hand because we haven't been seeing too much of Urshifu lately. But usually when we do see Urshifu, Tano, it is that water bear instead of the secure dark bear that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, especially in the EU region, buddy. We cast it so much, and people love Water Bear over here. In fact, it's very rare for us to see Dark Bear. So Oscar does look like they're going to be taking that route, and it's actually quite an interesting comp here. Both of them have very similar comps. You've got your ranged attackers, you've got your strong front line on the side of both teams. We've got that Crustle coming out again, and the Blaziken's going to be there, but also Louisan's bringing out the damaged Blastoise yet again, buddy. So many people have been using this now for the past couple of months. It does pretty well, obviously, with a great secure in itself.
I mean, when we talk about damaged Blastoise, we're not really seeing like the full rapid spin water spout moveset. We are talking about hydro spin because it just does provide so much disruption, so much, and also combinations well with the Blastoise Unite move, that Hydro Typhoon. So you get double stun, you get double disruption, you get double knockup for the price of 2 moves with that Blastoise. But in the bottom lane, Dan's going to try and get evolution to that Espeon as quickly as possible because the only thing that can keep Suicune at bay is probably that stored power.
Yeah, it is so good, and it's going to be great for trying to avoid the pressure from blazing big Juke. As we see Vainglory trying to put the damage onto Danny here. It does get very weak, but they are able to get out of there. Swinub is going to continue to try and take what they can from the side of blazing big Juke. If they get the middle one, they do, but it is contended down in this bottom lane, mate.
I mean, it is a contentious one. Crustle is online right now, only 0-2. I mean, even in that first game, Tano, we weren't getting too higher scores that we're used to seeing, but these Altarias could change that right now as we've got central laners heading to different lanes, which is nice to see. Oscar's going to soak up all of that farm and stop Kaiken from getting online to that Alolan Raichu.
Yeah, anytime you can do that and limit the progression for the other team, it's going to be great. But Caden is going to grab that, getting so close to that level 5. Los Duros want to continue with this aggressive early game. They've got some good power spikes online now. They're looking to try and out-level this Blaziken if they can, because they're back in the central area. War Turtle on the field. This is now going to be an interesting battle in this top lane.
It's a really interesting tug of war for kind of positioning right now. We got Alolan Raichu online. We got Louisan kind of getting to that second stage evolution, but this is a problem that I'm noticing with Los Duros. They don't have as much movement in their squad as they did last time, which means they could succumb to Alolan Raichu's big burst damage. However, it did get a nerf, but now we got Blaziken and Urshifu both online. Eject has to be popped by the Crustle, going straight for that Alolan Raichu with the safeguard. Is it going to get there before the Citrus Berry? It is! Finally took it down. Didn't matter what stood in its way. And Oscar said, the rest of the team be damned. I want that Alolan Raichu.
I mean, bro, we talk about Inti and Oscar say, I'll sacrifice my life for this KO, bro, as they go in for all of it. Blazing Big Juku's going to take the Regidrago here. We do see Blaziken getting a bit feisty onto the side of Los Duros. They do have their team up here now, trying to see if they can take this experience away, leaving the bottom lane to defend against the Lucario. But it feels like Blazing Big Juku have come to play in this second game, mate.
They have. I mean, Oscar's, what do you call it? An int aside. That E-Speed Lucario is going to storm through, but not if it gets picked up and put down and sat down by a beautiful Ice Fang. Eject into the Ice Fang, and the KO coming in was absolutely beautiful.
Bro, Los Duros are on a mission to find these KOs. They are doing everything they can just to take down these all-rounders. Blaziken is going to find a Shifu. It's a Registeel on the rip. The overheat was ready a little bit too early, but unfortunately, Danny can't get a side beam onto their side. So Blazing Big Juku take the Registeel just as they have the other objectives. And now they continue to push this T1 pad. Los Duros are very much on the back foot here.
Danny was looking for that KO. That crosser was incredibly low in the back there. But as that tier 1 on the basement side breaks and Blazing Big Juku take a 22-point lead in this one, Tano, Los Duros are looking to do the exact opposite onto that top pad and break it. However, Blazing Big Juku are looking to put pressure wherever they can. 5 minutes 57 and no Mama Swan on the board is going to be rough for Los Duros. They need to get that Mama Swan evolved. Doesn't matter what evolutionary stage, it needs to be the big swiney boy.
What I do like is Los Duros are alleviating the pressure that Blazing Big Juku are bringing them by scoring in the opposite lane here, buddy. This is how you play a game, taking that much aggression from the opposite team. Look at the score now. They've actually taken the lead. It's only 10 points, but it means that looking at those points and those levels, they've very much kept themselves in this by being so smart and pushing the opposite lane.
No, I agree with you. Keeping this at a 10-point game as we head into the 5-minute mark is quite ideal. When we look at the levels, Tana, they're also quite even, with only Blaziken being at that outlier at level 12. But what does it mean when you become that outlier at that high level? If you get KO'd, you're giving back a lot of experience. But Lucario is going to send the point score back into the way of a Blazing Big Juku. And E-Speed is just going to dance around. And I honestly, Tano, there's really nothing fun at seeing a good E-Speed player dance through an entire competitive team.
If Elo gets away here, there's no Blissey with the slap. That's what we like to see from Rops as they find the KO. That was going to be absolutely egregious by Blazing Big Juku, but they do go back to the Pokemon Center. Despite that, though, they have managed to break that bottom pad, buddy, and get the point lead themselves. Los Duros now looking to see if they can find a Regi. Blitz assistance is going to come through. The overheat was a little bit early, but the Thunderstorm Aerial is going to do what needs to be done. Blazing Big Juku giving over a little bit of experience here as Blaziken is going to fall, but they can't find Kaden as a Shifu is taken down, and this is the power of the Alolan Raichu.
The Alolan Raichu with that sitting behind that Suicune, even like a defender as good as Crossel that is able to do a lot more in hindrance rather than just straight up protection. I mean, what more protection do you need if you got a Suicune sitting in front of you? But come on, can we please clip that Blissey clip, because that slap was personal on that Lucario, and I felt every single bit of it. We're heading into the 3-minute and 40-minute mark right now. Oscar has caught up in levels to level 12, but Blaziken still at that level 13. He's got one lead, and Blazing Big Juku are seeming to get the better of these engages right now, Tano, with that complete basement side gone for the side of Los Duros. They're going to take the Regieleki off the board. No more Regielekis for them. No more problems for them to deal with. But this could be a fight that Los Duros want to do, or are they just going to show face and keep a little bit of distraction tactics going?
Yeah, it looks like that's the plan. No Way is getting in the way here, and they're taken down. They find Danny as well. I don't think Los Duros should have even showed any attention to that, buddy. Go get some more experience for yourself. It's just coming up on the field now, or maybe make a push into a team fight to look for those KOs. Oscar now looks like they're going to be stuck in the middle of no man's land as Blazing Big Juku looks to see if they can take them down. Oscar will get away, but Los Duros being so aggressive with this at the 2:35 mark, looking to score these points while Blaziken goes for a 50 dunk.
50 dunk is audacious because Blaziken does have the ability to get out even with the reset. Mamoswine's not going to be able to find them in that bush, but finally, here we go, bottom side. What's the objective that they've decided to roll? It is a Reg Ice. No traditional healer on the side of Blazing Big Juku, but it doesn't help a lot of those self-heals, which is going to keep Blaziken and Lucario alive in the final minutes. 211 to 278. Final stretch is over. We are here at the final moments. Level 13 and 14 Raichu, as well as Lucario highlight Blazing Big Juku. 2 level 12s and level 14 Oscar are going into this final stage for game number 2. Remember, guys, this is a best of 3. Tano, who's going to play it patiently? Who is going to go in? Blazing Big Juku got the better of Los Duros in that previous game. However, Los Duros had the better fight. But so far, it's just patience from both these teams.
It is, buddy. We know the saying, when there's a crowd on, the game is on. But right now, Los Duros, the ball is in their court. They are the ones losing. Blazing Big Juku just trying to defend that T1 pad as well. They now have vision on where Los Duros is. Let's see if they can break in and find the picks that they're looking for. Because right now, as they've had problem with for the entirety of this game, the Alolan Raichu should be their main target here. But they can't break through and even get close to it. The damage rains on True as Blissey is going to be having to use whatever they can to keep their team on the field. But this is the issue with going for the combo that tries to stop the crowd control. Does manage to stop Suicune, getting the freeze though onto Blastoise as Hydro Typhoon's going to come through. Rubble Raz is going to take it all anyway though, as we see the Ebon Fist looking to take down Juku, but they're hit with the Focus Blast. Thunderstorm Aerial's going to go down, and Los Duros have lost the entirety of their team. It's Danny versus the world, but Blazing Big Juku already have the lead, and with 30 seconds left, Los Duros are going to fall to the might of NA in this first set.
The Focus Blast plus the Thunder Force Aerial just did so much with the AoE damage coming out from Thunder Force Aerial plus the Thunderbolts and the Electro Balls, and then the pure fire range of the Aura Cannon was just so much. I thought that Los Duros had a great engage here, but the power of the Unite moves, my friend, and I said it. Alolan Raichu, I still believe, is the best attacker in the game. Especially after those nerfs. It's still so powerful with the dashing ability, the AoE ability. Again, you're putting hazards down that the other team have to avoid. But Blazing Big Juku just had too good of an engage there. They couldn't get past the Crustle. They couldn't get past the Suicune. Alola Raichu was completely free. And again, the two of probably the best all-rounders right now. Lucario E-Speed is just so hard to pin down. And unfortunately, Los Duros just lost it there. Because, again, I think Urshifu was the right choice. I don't know, maybe Water Urshifu could have been a little bit better. Just having a little bit more movement. There just seemed like there was no one to get around and onto different members of Blazing Big Juku in that one.
What I will say is I genuinely don't understand why Los Duros allowed Blazing Big Juku to get the Alolan Raichu, buddy.
Yeah.
They've got Danny on their side. Like, we know how amazing Danny is on the Alolan Raichu. I don't understand why they have just allowed them to take the best attacker multiple games here. If it's not Miraidon, you're taking the Raichu. And they were completely untouched. Look at it, 21k damage Caden took. What's even crazier is that Vainglory on that Suicune took less damage. There was nothing coming out of Los Duros to win those team fights, buddy.
I don't understand either. Like, Suicune didn't go first pick for Blazing Big Juku either. It went second pick. So Los Duros didn't take one of the Pokemon that really assisted them in the previous game into this one. Also didn't take one of their, I guess, tried and true attackers.